Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Pedro.
This is Jackson.
And this is Solid Foundation. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about how to nail your first in-person appointment. So there's a lot of aspects and things to think about whenever you go and open that door for the first time, meet somebody in person for the first time. So, we wanted to talk through that and help you kind of get a starting point, what to do and what to ask, and go from there. So, Pedro, how do you start?
Man, I mean, to me, Jackson, it's a whole system. It's not just getting a connection and just going, right? It's a lot of things that happen before that to have a successful one.
For sure.
So, I have to prepare for it, and one of the things I do to prepare, if I already know which property we're going to look at, I'm probably doing a CMA for the area. I'm researching comps. I'm already researching an idea of pricing. In case that conversation comes up, I already have it. I don't have to say, well, let me get back home or to the office and then get back to you. I want to have everything somewhat ready. I'm looking at the other documents, right? Maybe I already went over the seller's disclosure. Maybe I already identified a couple things that I could look at as red flags, right? Maybe I'm already, looking at what other properties in the area are for sale too. Because it might not be this one house. It could be the next 2 or 3 that you have set up right after this one.
For sure.
So I want to have like a system ready. I want to have them booked. I want to have them set up. I want to know as much as I can. And I definitely want to call the listing agent before I get there to get some sort of inside feed information from them, right? Maybe some things that are not published that they can tell me over the phone. What about you?
Yeah, no, I like that. Definitely, I think preparation is big, and it's something that a lot of agents miss out on. I think they go out there just ready to show that one house.
Right.
And they know it has beautiful kitchen, granite countertops and, the nice stuff. But absolutely, showing your value as an agent is doing that work beforehand.
Right.
Showing up, I definitely look at, what's behind the house. I look at the satellite view and the top down, to look at what's behind. Because I know selling agents, I've seen their perspective, and I've helped sellers too. So I'm not going to take a picture of the water tower in the backyard. You know what I mean? So
that's a good point. I don't think I've ever done the whole satellite, but that is great.
Yeah. Right? So definitely getting an idea of where the home is, where it is geographically. Then, like you said, coming with multiple homes, multiple options. I think that's going to be the biggest factor, because they're not just thinking about that one home. They're coming to buy a house, but it may not be the first one, and maybe the 25th house you can look at, right? So having that ammo ready when you get to the door and to talk about other options they may have is going to keep them interested and want to schedule with you.
But I also feel like having more properties, right, it just makes you look better, because like a car salesman, right, it's not one specific product that we have to sell.
Yeah,
it could be anything. And a lot of times that one showing is mainly just to get to know the person and what they really want. Not so much about this house we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
So, to me, talk about, that first initial communication with them. So let's say you set the appointment, you met, now you're at the property. What does that introduction look like to you?
Yeah, no, for sure. Basically, it's happened several ways. A lot of times now, it's over the phone, and you're talking to them. You say, absolutely, yes, ma'am, or sir, I'll meet you at the front door. Is it okay if we see some other options?
Right.
You got to build that preparation for the meeting too. Like if they know what to expect when they get there, that's step one. Knowing that we've set the expectations for them, and they know what to expect when they get there.
Right.
The other big thing is I'm talking to them not like a salesman. I'm asking them, have you seen homes before?
Right.
How long have you been searching? Because many people, they look on the Zillows, they look on Realtor.com, and they're already been looking, and what got them to the front door of this house. I want to know what made them click and schedule an appointment and talk to me about that house. That way I know going forward what to show them. What they'll click on, what they're going to really love in their home. So that's how I go and start there. Once I get there too, I'm asking them, what do you want to see about the house? What concerns do you have?
Where would you like to start?
Where would you like to start? Because if you put them in control, they feel more comfortable already. You put them in control, let them kind of see and feel out what they want.
Right.
And then you can add your value as they start to ask or as they go into their pieces. So, what about you? I know everyone has a different method.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. I do start the introduction once I'm there, of course. Where would you like to start? And I like what you said about putting them in control. So even though we want to be in control, we also don't want to make the other person feel like they don't have a say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
and
sir.
that only makes them want to trust you more and give you more information. If you already come in aggressive about it, maybe they're not going to share their true feelings about the home. Maybe they might say they like it, even if they don't. All those things. I just want genuine conversations, right? So to me, I talk about what it is that I do for my clients, and I ask them what their experience has been. If they've already been looking, I want to know what the other agent or someone else didn't do, right? Or maybe what they came across. So I'm already preparing to get over those obstacles already from the beginning. I'm like, oh, well, he did that. I'm going to make sure I don't do that, right?
I like that.
So, and then I talk about how it is that I represent clients. I talk about the agency. I think that's very important. Depending which state you are, it doesn't matter. You have some sort of code of ethics and agency that you must follow. And you want to start with that. You want to make sure they understand what the process is like, what it entails, and also establish that communication like, hey, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to need you to do this side of things, right? Just to kind of have that back and forth. And I think that's very important. Then we walk into the house, and it's a whole nother topic that we'll talk about. But, to me, unique value proposition, there are thousands of agents out there.
Yeah.
Right? But we're not all the same. At least I like to think that I'm not the same.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got to have something special. I liked what you talked about on covering their objections too. Coming in with some preloaded objections in your head. If you notice something on that satellite view that we did research on, and this may come up as an objection, think about how to answer it. And you're absolutely right. Getting as much information as you can from the person you're meeting, and already have answers ready for those possible objections. And it really does come down into agency. Like you said, when we're going out there and showing them, and you're meeting somebody for the first time, you're not automatically just working with them, right? They could choose anybody. So the value proposition, explaining what we do for our job, how they can use us to help them, that's a big, big step. Again, I think many agents miss. They're so wrapped up in the beautiful house and how can we get you this home and the best deal and stuff like that. But if you just explain your job, explain how to get from this front door to contract to closing, it just goes so much further, with buyers. And and then coming down to your value proposition, absolutely. So what I want you to hit me, what's your unique value?
Well, something I like to say, and it's very unique to me. Thousands of agents out there, right? Probably the most common thing that I see agents do is when they meet someone, they send them 1,000 properties to look at every day.
Yeah.
Right? Myself, I like for my clients to know that I really value what they want, and I understand. I listen to their criteria. I know what they're looking for. I don't want, to me, if a client is sending you properties for you to book, you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
We get paid to do that, right? And we get paid well. So to me, it's more about, I'm not going to send you 1,000 listings to look at. I'm going to handpick based on what you're telling me today in this showing, and the questions that I'm going to ask you, is going to be for me to narrow down that list. And I'm going to send you maybe 5 to 10 that I handpicked. I'm spending my hour or two before the next showing scrolling through the MLS one by one, picking the top 5 that I know they would like. And that only builds the trust with them because they're not looking at me as someone. How many clients have you ever met that maybe told you, this agent would send me stuff that I didn't even like? That's the thing.
A bunch, yeah.
People do that. And when you actually deliver, now you have a lot more power. Talk about being in control indirectly. Now they listen, not because you're saying listen to me, but because the actions demonstrate that you're the pro at this. And they trust that the next house, I don't even tell them which house we're going to go look at. I just say, follow me to the next one.
There's going to be a good one.
And it's usually a good one that they like. What about you?
No, I like that. My value proposition really, man, is I meet them and I'm always very punctual about my time. And when I tell them I do this full time, 7 days a week, that's my commitment.
Right.
And so that's, what I start with. And then I tell them I'm going to do more research. I'm going to do more research than anyone you can find. If you ask me, is this been permitted? Can we get a clue report?
Right.
And I'm going to dig for that information for you. And if I don't know, I go back to my team, and find it. And that's what I come across with. And I think you're absolutely right. What I do too is I'm handpicking those properties too. I absolutely think it's crucial. People have forgotten it in this business. MLS is too easy. Searching through Zillow is super easy. So why don't you pick out from what they tell you, what they want, just like you said, and just go take them. Because I have a strategy too. Like I start and we'll have, maybe the first house they pick is really nice and then I'll be a little unlucky. But normally the first one isn't the one.
Right.
So at the end of my list, every day that I'm scheduling, the end of my list is the gold. For me, it's a little bit of a strategy I do, and it works because the client gets to see all the different types of houses that may work, and I'm listening to what they want, and it has some of it, but not all of it. But then the last one is like the deal.
Right. I mean, and just to add to my proposition as well, I want to be the easy button for them.
Yeah.
Like I want to make the process as easy as possible for them. A lot of times, clients go through nightmares dealing with an agent that maybe doesn't have the experience, or maybe they don't take it as serious, right? And the client ends up having to do a lot of things for themselves. And I mean, like I said, we get paid to help them out. So to them, I'm very clear. I want to be your easy button. I want to make sure that you know that I'm going to make everything as smooth as possible. Even when the transaction gets tricky, I'm going to be the fastest way to getting it completed. Right?
Yeah, I like that.
So easy button. As far as like the actual conversation with the client itself, you're talking about the house. Talk about the importance of listening. I feel like a lot of agents like perform. Like it's almost like they put on this performance, but they don't really listen to the person.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right. It's easy to come in and you get sales breath. You start to talk about all the really nice stuff, and the stuff that's easier to talk about. But you get wrapped up in doing the tour, or maybe you're leading them through, and you're just talking a lot. And it's hard because sometimes you meet people who are very introverted, that are very,
That's true.
isolated in their thoughts, and like you said, they start to tell you they like it even though they don't. So you have to ask the right questions. I think asking the right questions and listening to the response is huge, and it will really you get so many things out of it. Right, you get really what they're looking for, their motivation, and also how to help them better. So I think that's a crucial part. But yeah, I mean, what kind of things do you maybe ask that helps you kind of listen and learn?
Yeah, well, I go back to asking, what was your prior experience before we met?
Yeah,
I want to know what they saw out there, what they went through. Maybe they had a bad situation with an agent, and that's why they're looking at this house with me now.
Yeah.
I want to know, what did the agent do that wasn't optimal for you, right? Are you educated enough on this process? If not, let me educate you from point A all the way to closing, right? And then I go back to something we call here in the team, a term we use is CRT.
Yeah.
Common ground, rapport, and trust.
Absolutely.
I want to build that, and in order for you to build it, it has to be organic, and it starts with listening, right? We can't have common ground, rapport, and trust if I don't listen to you first. Their concerns are my concerns, right? If maybe all they saw was stuff that they didn't like, I want to listen to what it is that they like, right? I really want to dive into their goals, and I want to remind them that I am going to be that, and that I'm going to work hard to help them get there. So, I mean, it goes back to that CRT, common ground, rapport, and trust, and I think it's key because every person is different. Like you said, some people are a little bit more introverted. Maybe you might have to do a little bit more work, more digging to get to the bottom of things. But to some people, they're ready to tell you everything. And it's up to you to listen and actually educate them. Maybe they have a whole nother perception of what the process is like because maybe their uncle or somebody told them. Yeah. But it's up to you to educate the buyer. And through education, you build trust.
Exactly. See, I like how you kind of dissected that because it goes both ways too. I think if you start to listen to that client and they realize that you're hitting their notes that they really want and that they told you before, they're more likely to listen to us too. They're more likely to listen to us about, hey, we need to make an offer now. This is a really good deal. This is how much money we possibly could offer and save, right? I think people sometimes, clients, they tend not to trust real estate agents because they haven't listened, right? And so why should they listen to us? And so I really like that. And I think it could really go so far, even into after they're a client, after you close with them and do business, if you keep that CRT after the fact, you're going to get repeat business.
Right. I agree. I mean, and the next thing is, concerns. A lot of people have concerns, and a lot of agents, I feel, it goes back to not listening, but at the same time, talk about the honesty and actually understanding their concerns and not necessarily have a comeback for everything that they're concerned about. Actually listen and say, you know what, this concerns you. I'm going to look into it really deep and I'm going to search for something specifically. Because a lot of times, I mean, I feel like agents try to steer the client into maybe making a decision they don't want to at the moment. Maybe it's not the right house. Maybe that tower in the back, right? And the agent is. And the agent is very aware. Maybe they don't share that information. You really want to listen what their concerns are because it might not even be the home. It might be personal life stuff they're going through. That also plays a role into my representation. I want to know what is going on. I want to be able to help you. Maybe your time limit is not right now. Maybe you'll be ready by the end of next year. But I want to know what that is so I can guide you in the right direction. Part of our job as agents is not to know it all, but to know who can get us that information for that. Maybe, I don't know, your credit might need work. I can set you up with someone who can help you.
I really like, that because it is about the right timing too. And people miss out and don't ask the right questions, and agents start to lose that emotional connection, because it does matter in our business. It's very hard for people to agree with, but it is. It's an emotional decision. It's very hard. It's a lot of money, and you want it to be perfect for your client. At least you should. If you're a buyer agent, or just any real estate agent representing clients, you should want them to make the best decision possible for their situation, their relationship, their job, career. You want them to make a good decision, and it's not always just about money.
And their decision is going to impact not only your performance, but also, talk about business right after them. Do you think that someone that didn't make the right decision with your advice is going to recommend you to other people?
Probably not.
Will they leave you a review?
No.
A lot of things go into play, and it's not just for us, it's for them, but everything ties within, right? If they're happy, we're happy. And they'll continue to send you people. That's how you get referrals. That's how you get continuous business, by delivering quality service, by delivering what they want, by listening. That's how you get those people that you helped 2 years ago that call you and say, I want to sell now.
Exactly.
If you did a shitty job, they
You
probably
ain't getting
wouldn't call
no
you.
2-year clients.
They'll probably get on a different website and call someone else.
Oh yeah, they're just clicking on Zillow. We've all seen it. We've been there, and all of us have lost clients, to stuff like that. And that's how we get better and improve.
And that's what we coach.
And that's, why we coach and why we're bringing this to you guys, because it's an important factor in our business. And like Pedro said, a lot of people go into the buyer agency and they are thinking about the money. They're thinking about it as a salesman. While that is in our job, real estate salesperson is at the end of the day who we are. You can make it more than that. And you can ask that question. I have an agent, I think I spoke about her in the last video, but the Brazilian community is big for her. And just, going in and networking and talking with those people, she's able to perform her job better, and bring better service, simply because she really cares about her community and her people.
Right.
So.
And, Jackson, I'm going to answer this question, but then I want you to give me your answer.
Okay, for sure.
To me, commitment, right? Not only am I giving all my information, my value proposition, all that stuff, but I want to commit to them to something. and I want to deliver that.
Absolutely.
What does that commitment look like to you when you're meeting someone? You already show the house. You're going through agency. You're explaining how you work. What makes you so unique? Now it's time for you to deliver. What does that look like for you? Like,
Yeah.
what do you tell them?
No, I love that. Yeah, my commitment to people is getting them the best deal for them in their situation. You know, I said it before. That's my commitment to them. You know, it's all about timing. If I get to asking questions to them, we go try to get pre-approved, right? We go through the lending process. Maybe they need credit work. Maybe they have just barely saved enough. I want to have that hard conversation. You know, I want to talk to them and say, hey, is it the best time? You know, if we go through and buy this house, you know, Jackson's happy. I get the money, I get the commission and whatnot, but I want them to be happy. I don't want them to have a sour taste, and I especially don't want them to be house broke. You know, that's a common term a lot of people will get themselves into, and it's hard. You know, that's a hard like conversation. So that's my commitment to them. It's like, hey, I'm not gonna just sell you a house. I'm gonna make a good deal for you and your situation.
Yeah, and you know, for me, my commitment is that I'm gonna be here as their easy button, no matter how long it takes.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure they understand that, because I don't ever want them to feel like they have to be quick about making a decision with me, right? Because that also separates me. I'm like, hey, regardless of however long it takes, I'm here for the journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey, and I want to make sure that the journey is easy for you. And if it's not easy, I want to help make it as easy as possible, whether it's next year, whether we need to look at another 10 homes, whether something came up in life and we need to regroup later on after the holidays or whatever it is. I want to make sure they understand that I'm not pressuring them into making a lifetime decision such as buying a house.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
that is pretty key. People don't want to feel pressured, and I never want to make a decision when I'm being pressured.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, it's a house. It's a huge decision. It should be comfortable. It should be easy. You should understand the process. And I know, you know, we've talked about a lot of subjects, and this is something you can do at the first meeting. You know, I mean, that's what we're talking about. It is a lot of things you have to think about. But, you know, if you go in with the curiosity, you know, with, you know, that knowledge, and you're trying to build CRT, I mean, there's just no way they don't call you back, you know, I mean, because you're coming in there with a caring side, and it very, very much, people want to do real estate with their friends. You know, I've heard this before, and I'm sure you guys have too. They want to do it with their friends. So come in with it like you're meeting somebody, and you're trying to be friends with them.
Yeah.
You know, if you come in and you're meeting that first person, and you're bringing your knowledge into the game, of course, but, you know, if you just show that you care, I mean, it goes so far.
And something that our leader here in the team always talks about is, and I really like this, you know, whether you use me or not, I want to make sure you know that I'm going to help you, right? Regardless if it's a year later or not, whether you use me or not, I want to make sure you understand that I'm here for you.
Yep.
And I mean, you know, there's a lot more things that we can cover about that, but I want to dive into the actual showing itself.
For sure.
Right? So you meet them. I don't know about you, but I like to have most of my conversation when I meet them in a driveway. I shake their hand. That's when I hit them with who I am.
Yep.
What are we doing here with this meeting? Right? The type of house we're going to go see inside.
Yep.
I'll let them know, you know, the house is ready to go. The lights are on. You have the front door open. The back door is open as well. Let me tell you what I do, how I do it. Let's go inside and check out the house. What do you do when they walk in the house? What's your method of showing the home? Everyone has their own styles. Tell me your style.
Yeah, so it's funny because it changes depending on the person. Because you're absolutely right. I always have the home prepared when we get there. Now it's hard to do from house to house. You know, if you go from one house to another,
yeah, sometimes
you know,
you sometimes
you got to freestyle a little bit. But yeah, when we're there, right when we walk in, I hit them, you know, and say, hey, you know, is there a particular part of the house you want to look at? Is there something you saw before we go too far that you just want to go and check out first? Also, I always ask, you know, did you see any possible deal breakers and that made you say, I have to go see it, but if I see this, I'm out? Because you know now how to save time. You know, part of this too in our career is saving yourself some time. And if you can go and knock that one thing out that you wanted to see, and it's just a donezo for them, we can go to the next house, right? You save yourself some time. So, but what about you? I mean, I know that's everyone's so different.
Well, I mean, it's just like I said, it depends on the case by case basis, right?
Yeah.
But I walk the property. I let them. I don't know about you, but I like to keep a healthy distance between me and them as they're walking it. I don't want to be hovering like no one wants. I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
If it's a small house, I have no business being in a bathroom with them, right? Especially if it's a couple or a group of people. I keep my distance. And, after they look at a certain room and I see them going to the next one, I casually start asking questions about their search, about what they've seen. But the most important thing, in order for me to know how I'm doing with my showings that I selected, I ask them, could you rate the house from 1 to 10?
I like that.
I want to know what the number is.
Yeah.
I want to get to 10 as close as possible. It might not be a thing for everybody to get to a 10, but I want to get there as close as possible.
Yeah.
Right? And so I need to know, what would you rate this house? 6? Okay, well maybe the next one is an 8. Maybe the last one is a 4. Hopefully not. If I'm doing my job and I put my time into searching these homes, they should all be pretty high up there, right, in the 10s. But I ask them, what would they change about this one?
Yeah.
What would you like that's not here? What do you like about it? This one, right? Maybe you love the kitchen, but the backyard is not it. Would you be okay with the backyard being better, even if the kitchen needed a little bit of work? And I start asking those questions. Not that I want to have a comeback, but I want to make my job easier too, by also, dabbling around and really trying to find the right house. Like, because a lot of times they tell you they want a 2-story, but they really want a 1-story.
Yeah, or they haven't seen one. Like they haven't seen one that they like, and they'll just cross it off.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I really like your rating thing too, because many people you're gonna meet and show, they know that every house is not perfect.
Right.
If you don't custom build a home, and even custom building, there's a whole nother video about that, but it's a very interesting process. So they know it's not gonna be perfect. So what, how do we get as close as possible? And that's what I think people are normally happy with. You know, did I do the research? Did I ask myself the questions, that Pedro or Jackson's asking me, and make them think about it? Because many people, they haven't thought about it. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone in and there's a tankless water heater in the garage, and they have no idea what the tankless water heater does, and there's so many other value pieces in there that they don't know. And so if you kind of bring some of those forth, maybe it goes from a 6 to an 8.
And it's also important to educate them also, because a lot of expectations don't meet the budget.
Yeah.
That's something
for sure.
we struggle with sometimes, as agents. As you get more experience, it becomes easier. But it's all about conveying the right way without sounding like, I don't listen to you, I don't care, your budget is not good enough, whatever that is. I want to make sure they understand that maybe what they had in mind is not necessarily what they're going to find, but there are things that probably have more value than others.
Yeah.
Maybe the backyard, like I said, was more important to them than the cabinets being white.
Yeah, I think too, what a lot of agents miss is doing that process is you get commission mindset. People are only thinking about, I'm only making X amount of dollars off this, piece house, without having to go into some French words. That's what they think about, instead of thinking about how can I help them make money? Because if we're coming in at a lower value than average, what is how much does it may cost a buyer to renovate this and make it what they want versus buying it at list price, right? So many people just don't think about that gap. Can I buy at a lower price and just do the reno and still save money and then make money when they go to sell it?
Or would it be worth it to buy something that needs a lot of work when maybe the one that already has everything I want is 10, 15 grand more, and it's a lot less of a headache, So it just depends, but it goes back to knowing their goals.
Exactly.
Right? If it's someone that is okay with doing work in a home and they want like an actual investment property, maybe that's okay for them. But for someone that really doesn't want to do much, it's important to educate them on what's out there. Maybe their actual dream home is 10 grand away.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I've run into this a lot. I mean, and you're going to, you're going to show that first house, and there's going to be a lot of things missing for them. They're going to be like, man, 5 minutes into the showing, they're like, man, I'm really disappointed.
Right.
And that's why you have those 2, 3, 4, even more other options, that may be a little bit more, because maybe they don't know that $5,000 really it comes down to when your mortgage payment, it's like pennies, you know, versus that $5,000 is not coming out of their pocket. You know? And people just don't know, and so you have to bring that up.
How do you approach people that, I mean, it depends what kind of person you get, but I'm sure you've been through it, you know, those people that will find like every little detail that's wrong. How do you deal with people like that? Let's say you've been showing 5 houses, none of them seem to be the one for them, they just have a different expectation, they point out every little, I mean, a light switch being dirty, I mean, very small things. How do you approach it? Do you get defensive about it? Did you educate them? Like, how do you approach it?
Yeah, most of the time I educate them. You know, I just tell them, like, okay, let's look at realistically. Like I said, you have to get in the hard conversations here. So let's look realistically.
Well,
what's your
budget?
budget?
Away from those conversations.
Yeah, sometimes they will, and you know that's okay. Like I said, eventually you'll build that trust, and they'll let you in. But what I do is I look at their budget realistically. I say, hey, like, what's our budget? This is what we're looking at. I can get you there. I can get you to brand new. You know, nobody has done anything in the walls, and they haven't marked it up. There's been no leaks, you know, nothing like that. We can get there, but is your budget there? And if it's not, then let's see how we can get close as possible. Maybe I can get you an older home that's been renovated. Maybe I can get you something where the seller's willing to do those repairs for us. You know, would that work for you?
Or maybe a different part of town.
Yeah, maybe a different, exactly. How far, are you willing to go? Because I can find you your home, but maybe it's 10, 20 minutes more further from where you want to be. You know, would that still work?
And I like how you approach that, because it doesn't come across as you stopping or trying to interrupt my concerns. Like, you're really just casually in a conversation matter, you're really trying to walk me into my options.
Yeah.
Rather than, well, every house is going to be like this. No, well, there's a used home. They're all going to have issues.
Yeah.
You know, people might get a little,
Oh, definitely.
Held back with that. So you definitely want to approach it casually, but be honest. Right?
Well,
disclose the right information, educate them.
It's like, you have to put yourself in their shoes too. I feel like that is a lot for a lot of people. They miss out on doing that. Like, would I be happy with this home? You know, you really do have to think about that. We see hundreds of houses all the time doing this career. So we know what price point is where, you know, what I'm going to get if I pay a little extra here, you know, how far do I have to go? So if you're inside of a house and like, you're just not happy with any of those 4 things, they're probably not going to be either, you know? So if you put yourself there, what can I do that I know, because I've seen 100 houses, to open my options.
Right.
You know?
And maybe, for the right house, I might be willing to drive an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Those things. And it's questions you want to ask. It's questions you want to be curious about. Just out of curiosity, for the right home, would you be willing to maybe add another 3 minutes to your job distance, to your daily commute? And a lot of times, if the house checks the boxes and they like everything, they probably will agree, right? It just depends what it is for them. But as far as like, okay, so you visited the homes, they gave you the rating from 1 to 10. Now let's talk about how you end that showing, right? So maybe let's say they didn't like any of the houses.
Yeah. So
what do you do then?
Then my goal is always set the next appointment. You know, our business is appointment based. I mean, you want them to set the next appointment with you. So
never leave without setting the
never leave without setting the next appointment. So hopefully you've done a majority of the things we talked about. You know, you've built that CRT. They trust you. They want to work with you. And so what I go for is, well, that's great. You know, I would do this 7 days a week. I'll repeat it again. And I can show after hours. I can see, on the weekend.
I'll accommodate to you. Pretty much.
Yeah, I'll accommodate to you. And what I like to do for all my clients is I want to commit myself time, the next time we meet. So what time of day works for you?
Right.
And it sounds super basic, but that's what you have to remember to do, because people will drive off into the sunset per se and totally forget, and just click Zillow again.
There's something worse than the client's not liking the houses and for the agent to show frustration towards the client.
Oh yeah.
That is the immediate, like, I want to work with you. Right?
Yeah, no. I agree. I think if you're like ready to hop back in the car and drive home, like, it's just business is just not for you,
Right?
Because you want to care, and I know we spent a lot of time today. This is how I tell it to them. I know we spent a lot of time today. Go back, think about some of them, but I'll have some more, options that I'm going to send you. But I want to set that next appointment, whether it's in the coffee shop, whether it's at the office, whether it's at the next house. What can we do?
Right. And to me also, the way I like to end, pretty similar to what you said. I really do follow a lot of those things when I close and whenever we finish showing. But I also, because a lot of agents, we've experienced this, especially starting, maybe the client didn't like any of the houses, and for whatever reason, they stop reaching back to you, reaching out to you.
They ghost you, like they
pretty
say.
quote unquote. Right?
Yeah.
They ghost you. Well, in order to help me avoid that issue and to get to that point, before I leave and we set the next appointment, I commit to doing something, but I need him to commit back to replying to me.
That's fair.
So I would say something like, "Hey Jackson, what I'm gonna do, not a problem, even though none of these houses check the boxes. I'm glad you came because now I really truly understand what it is that you want.
Yeah.
What I commit myself to doing is finding the properties. I will send you only the very best I find. But in order for me to continue doing that, I just need you to simply reply to me, let me know what you like and what you don't like, because when we meet again on Thursday, I want to have that list of houses ready for you. I just need you to take 2 seconds out of your day to reply either a thumbs up or something on the house that you do like. I just require that back and forth in order to take you to the finish line."
Yeah, I really like that strategy, and it makes them think about keep thinking about homes. That's the other thing.
You hold them accountable too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's easy for clients to leave, and they're like, "Man, maybe home buying is just not for me."
Right.
And they start to get that demon in their head. About I don't know if I can afford a house. Or these are going bad. Whatnot. So I like that you keep them engaged. I think that's important too as you go along. Is you keep the buyer engaged and excited. I think that's part of our job too. Is we create that excitement. It's exciting buying the first home. It's exciting shopping for that upgrade.
It should be.
It should be. Yeah. So you just want to match that. And but yeah.
And the last topic that I want to talk about, and this is huge. I mean, we coach a lot of agents, and a lot of the new agents, their number one barrier is, should I go show a house to someone that could potentially already be working with another agent? And if they are, how do I demonstrate that I'm different or try to win them over? Now, keep in mind, not trying to violate anything as far as agency, someone that might have been looking casually with an agent, they're not represented by them yet.
Yeah.
Right? But they have been talking to other people. Maybe some people just click on different websites.
Yep.
And they meet an agent for every house they see, but they really haven't sealed a deal with any of them. I understand the agents. Just like we put ourselves in the shoes of the client, I also sympathize with the new agents that experience this. And they're like, well, should I even drive? Should I even invest the time into doing this? And my answer would be yes. And I'm going to tell you how I would approach it. Right? So let's say I already know for a fact that you've been meeting with a bunch of different agents, right? To me, the key is to deliver what makes you different, that unique value proposition. But I do it from the beginning. And I commit to them and I remind them again, whether you use me or not, right? I do things differently. I take care of my clients. None of my clients, I'm very proud to say that none of my clients have to reach out to other agents, different websites to look at homes. Because why? Because I make myself available to them. Because they know that I'm their easy button. Because they know that I know what they want, and every time we meet is for houses that literally, realistically have potential. Right? That's what I dive into, and a lot of times that is so unique to them because they haven't heard that before from all these people they meet that just open a door. They don't necessarily tell them what they do differently and what they offer to them. And not only that, I'm not forcing you to work with me. I'm saying this is what I do regardless. If you want to see other houses, just know that when working with me, you get grade A service. And that's all you can expect from me. And that's what I'll deliver all the time for you.
Yeah, no, I really, you hit a lot of important stuff. And I think the big one, you were talking about is delivering what you promised, delivering on your unique value proposition, but also it's very challenging now. You know, it's 2023, about to be 2024, and buyer agency is going to be redefined. You know, I mean, that's why, you know, we're here talking and doing YouTube. You know, we have to define our job again. We really got to make sure when we show up and get in front of clients that they know what we do. You know, it sounds so basic. It sounds so basic, but people miss out on it. Clients that, you know, customers that go in and they just click contact agent, they think that we're just opening the door. You know, it's, a lot of times they think we work for Zillow or Realtor.com
or something,
or
you're
the
listing agent.
Yeah, or you're the listing agent. Like, they don't even think about the fact that you could possibly be one of the best tools for them to use to help them buy a house. Like, they just don't even know. So you have to show up. You have to tell them, this is what I do. Like you said.
And this is what I offer you.
And this is what I offer. Yeah.
You
so
work with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge, you know, delivering on it. The thing is, too, agents themselves will lose motivation, you know, and they forget to follow up.
Yep.
And I think that's another thing that fits into delivering on what you promised too. You know, when you show up and you tell someone you're going to represent them to the end, we're going to get a great deal for you. You know, you're not just there in the nice, happy times. You know, when the market gets tough, you're still sending them deals. Like, when the market gets hard and they're second guessing themselves, you're still showing up excited. You know,
whoever is the closest to them is who they're going to pick.
Yeah, you got to be close.
Just the one that was going hard at them for a week and then later on disappeared after they showed 4 houses and the client didn't like any of them. So now this agent is a little poopy pants. Now they no longer want to continue to put the work in. What you did there is pretty much made it easier for someone else to come and outshine you and take over what you started.
Yeah, well, we talked about this in the first video. You know, this business is very much what you put into it. And you have to show up committed every single day, even if you don't get paid until 2 months later. You know, you have to show up for these people because that's our commitment that we made. You know, and a lot of people get discouraged and give up, and it's agents too. You know, it's not just buyers.
And the better you do this final part that we're talking about, delivering and separating yourself from the other agents, that's what's going to make your job easier. Because maybe, just maybe, a new agent will continue to show many houses and never really deliver the other part. They're doing the initial part.
Yeah.
The showing, the driving, the whatever. But they're missing out the most important thing. Once they're there in person with the client, afterwards, following up, right? And they make it a lot more harder of a journey for them.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot faster if they actually stuck to it and delivered. So you're really making it harder on yourself by not doing these things.
Yeah.
It could be a lot faster.
Oh yeah. And imagine if you show up and you do all these things, you know, the very first meeting, and you give them all the options they have on this house they're looking at. Like, that's the other thing, is when you're there, this could be the one. So if you think every single house could be the one, and you try to really drill into, this is your good options, this is your good stuff, these are the cons, but here's the other good stuff that may outweigh the cons. If you're hitting that every time, you could sell it faster too, because maybe they come in and they weren't thinking about all this stuff you just presented them, and they're like, man, Jackson and Pedro, this is a good idea. This is a good investment. Like, I can't believe I didn't think about all this. And you're right, you can speed your own timeline up and get it done.
And every client brings something to the table. Maybe there's people you met, Jackson, that you took the time to educate and really like develop CRT. Maybe they're not gonna buy anytime soon for the next 10 years, but maybe they will refer you to other people.
Exactly.
Everything has a purpose in real estate. Everything has value. So you must approach it as such. Like, I'm not gonna miss out on this opportunity to build something with you as the client, even if you're not the buyer, let's say for now. I want to make sure you know that when people around your circle talk about real estate, you're like, this guy really educated me.
Yeah.
You need to go to him because I know you're talking about investing. This guy educated me on the benefits of investing, what I should be looking for, what type of house I should be looking for, what type of price range I should be looking for, what I should look out for. He told me about inspections. He explained to me the whole process from point A all the way to closing.
Yeah, college degree when you left.
I mean, pretty much. And I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Leaving my appointment knowing that I did that, I feel great driving back home.
Yeah,
there's nothing worse than doing the work and driving back knowing that you missed a few opportunities.
Yeah.
Like that, to me, like, it almost makes me want to throw up sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? And I try not to ever do it, and that's what I coach. And I know that's what you coach. Seize the opportunity while it's there in front of you.
Yeah.
Do not miss out on the opportunity to create a unique relationship with this person.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know, just before we wrap too, is like, it's whoever's closest, and it is literally physically sometimes. Like you said, if you have somebody in front of you ready to buy, you've got to go through all this stuff. You just have to hit all the points. And you know, even if you forget when you're jump in the car going to the next house, you got to hit them in the next house.
Right.
You know, because as long as you're face to face with somebody, that's the closest you're going to get to the deal.
Well, man, I feel like we covered a lot in this video. I feel like, you know, just this little video, man, when I was starting, if I would have had something like this to prepare me, who knows what would happen.
Because, I mean, we're coming to you guys with these, and we've been through the issues. You know, we know because we've lived it. You know, we've gone out and showed the first house, and I know you have done it too. I opened the door, and I'm like, oh, this is a beautiful house, 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms. Do you want to buy it? You know, that's like your experience, and obviously that doesn't work. So we had to learn the hard way.
And even if you knock out all these things out of the park, there are still going to be some people that just won't work with you, and that's okay. But you always must look at yourself in the mirror. There's always something you can improve on. Maybe the way you followed up wasn't the best way. Maybe the promise you made, you didn't deliver. There's always something to learn, and if you take that and actually live by that, every appointment that you get after that is going to be so much better, because now you know what can happen if you don't do that one thing that you missed the last time.
Yeah.
You're very conscious of it. So every time I'm there, I'm literally running down my list of things that I must get out before we leave this appointment.
Yeah. No.
Thank you for doing this, man. This is great.
No, this is great. I mean, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and you will see you in the next one. But yeah, you guys go out there, crush it.
Crush it, and we hope to have many more videos for you guys. So enjoy. Take it easy.